Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Real Heroes Show. You got Cory and Nick with you as always, and in
Yep.
today's video, we're gonna try to figure out, my best Jerry Seinfeld impersonation of what's the deal with the Sony Marvel universe of characters. I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of legal red tape, and we don't really know how this is all going to shake out. So we were talking about this offline. We figured, this would be a fun video topic to cover and try to see if we can make some sense of all this for you guys. So Nick, how are you today, my friend?
Good, man. Days moving on.
Yeah, we're almost to the weekend.
Almost to the fun stuff.
Which is good. Got a lot of stuff happening this weekend. Got some Bad Batch,
Yep.
some Mythic Quest, Army of the Dead. MODOK comes out on Hulu. There's a lot going on. It's a big weekend. So so I guess if we want to start, there's three movies that Sony has that are tied to Marvel that are coming out in the next year. So there's Venom, Let There Be Carnage, obviously Spider-Man No Way Home, and then Morbius. So let's start with Venom. We both watched the trailers for this and Morbius before we recorded to refresh our memories.
Right.
It appears that Venom does not know anything about Spider-Man at this point. Is that what you can gather?
Yeah, like he's I don't know if he pays attention to the news over on the East Coast or what, but to my understanding, he is clueless about Spider-Man. So,
but yet they sprinkle in this stuff like there's a Daily Bugle West Coast newspaper in the trailer, and it's the same exact font and layout that they used in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies all the way back in the early 2000s.
Oh, 2000s, yeah.
So it's like, why would they do that? Is it just like a wink to all the people that pay attention, or does it actually mean something, right? Like, does this Venom take place in the Sam Raimi universe that already had an Eddie Brock that died? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing for the sake of fans and wanting some continuity. And I think, as we all know, the differences between Sony as a studio and then Disney Marvel as a studio, and Kevin Feige trying so hard to get Spider-Man into the MCU and still have Sony release their own movies, which again has characters like Iron Man and Happy in it.
Right. Yep.
And those are hardcore MCU characters. So
the first two of the whole thing, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So you've got these crossover characters, but yet you've got these characters in movies like Venom 1 and 2, where you don't know if they're just completely separate, but you're obviously using a big and well-known character like Venom and Carnage. So how are these going to intertwine? And I think with Venom 2, we're getting a little bit more. I think not to jump too far ahead, but with there's this might just be a little bit of a foreshadowing or a call to the relationship between Carnage and Spider-Man, but I believe it's Mr. Cassidy who's writing on the card, and he slams the spider on the desk and squishes it, and I'm like, I see what y'all did there, but does it really mean anything in the end? That's again, the frustrating part.
Is it another just like tip of the cap to people who pay attention with a critical eye, or is it actually connecting to a greater universe? Because
I hope
Kevin Feige has said, and this was probably, I think, like a year and a half, 2 years ago at this point, but it was whenever Disney and Sony fought and then they got back together again, that Feige said that Tom Holland has a unique power, that he's the only superhero that's able to cross cinematic universes. So Marvel's doing their own thing. They've got their own multiverse that they're setting up. But he mentioned cinematic universes, which is MCU versus Sony Marvel universe.
Right.
So that stands to believe that Tom Holland could show up at any time in any of these movies as Spider-Man, because Sony does technically own the rights to the character.
Yep.
However, I don't think that's going to happen in Venom. And here's why I think that's the case. Venom was supposed to come out a while back. It got delayed because everything got delayed.
Yep.
However, they pushed it back to September now, and they haven't moved it since. And I think the reason why is that Venom needs to come out before Spider-Man No Way Home comes out. Because Spider-Man No Way Home, theoretically, and we're kind of segueing into the next thing, it's supposed to blow the doors open on Marvel's multiverse and Sony's multiverse, because there are major rumors that Jamie Foxx is showing up as Electro, Alfred Molina is showing up as Doc Ock, Willem Dafoe is the Green Goblin, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming back as their versions of Peter Parker. If Venom doesn't know that Spider-Man exists in this Let There Be Carnage movie, which Andy Serkis has said, it wouldn't make sense for that movie to come out after Spider-Man No Way Home, when everything has just torn itself wide open, and these universes are kind of crossing, right? Does that make sense?
It does, and I think that's I don't say logically, but that's probably one of the most reasonable ways to look at it, because that's kind of like the only way you're going to make it fit, with including past characters, current characters, and establishing these two cinematic universes. Because you notice on the if you watch, and I kind of again forgot about it because it was a year ago, but in the Morbius trailer, it says, from the studio that brought you Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Venom, and it's like, okay, we get it. You're establishing your own cinematic universe here that is in the Spideyverse, and that's fine, right? Like, I don't mind that at all, because I think what we're going to end up getting is, what I think Sony wants, and it's strictly everything Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the trailer for Morbius, we do see Michael Keaton as the Vulture.
Right?
And he's like, what's up, Doc? And which Bugs Bunny shout out there, but it's again, it plays into the that's a Spider-Man Homecoming call out. Right. So how is that going to come into effect?
Right. And we might see the Vulture again in No Way Home, right?
Right, exactly.
In the comic books, villains have a tendency to break out of prison and be villains again. So you may see that. That thing is there. Also in the Morbius trailer, there's a scene where Jared Leto's he's walking down the street, and behind him there's graffiti on the wall, and it's Spider-Man, and it has the word murderer written over it. Yeah. But I think it's the Tobey Maguire costume. So we're at the point now where it's like, well, what universe does this take place in? Why is Spider-Man a murderer? How are we going to explain all of that away? Well, the fact that Morbius comes out after No Way Home can maybe explain some of that. So, I mean, you might not see Michael Morbius show up in No Way Home, but theoretically, you could see Venom there if Sony wanted to force their hand, because we know Sony loves Venom. They basically forced Venom into Spider-Man 3 back in 2007 when Sam Raimi did not want to do that character. Yeah, it was not good. That was a studio mandated thing. So
it's not good.
I don't know, man. It's kind of wild, and it opens up a lot of storytelling doors on Sony's end.
Yeah, and again, to make that assumption and to sort of plaster it on a wall to say that Spidey is a murderer, why are they referring to the leaked and fake video that Mephisto made at the end of Far From Home, where he's basically saying, I'm revealing who Spider-Man's real identity is because he's going to kill me.
Because he killed me. Yeah. Right. They splice the footage together where it says, like, execute them all or whatever with the drones.
Right. So, and I kind of was hoping that with everything kind of, again, initially coming out in order as it should have been, that we could have seen some sort of like Sinister Six villain for No Way Home. But again, it's,
which you never know. I mean, if they pull enough characters from all three Spider-Man trilogies or sets of movies, you might get up to 6.
Yeah, and I think the other interesting point, again, if you're going for not so much the timeline for Spider-Man, but things that fans will probably want to see. And even though we did get to see it briefly in the first Spider-Man 3, which again just was not good, because you basically got Tobey Maguire in Night at the Roxbury sequel, as Peter Parker, and it was just a laughing stock and memes out the yin yang for years. It would be kind of cool to see how Tom Holland would act as a symbiote Spider-Man version, and how that would kind of fit in.
Right.
I don't know if we'll ever see that, because of Venom already being pretty accustomed to Eddie Brock at this point.
Right.
We might not see that. And again, I don't know if it would even make sense to have a different symbiote attached to Peter, because it would just, I think fans would be like absurdly and like insane and just hella feedback,
PTSD from the last time that happened.
Yeah, like they wouldn't be too happy. I wouldn't really be too happy either. And I'm not even like the biggest Spider-Man fan either. But I know friends that are like enormous Spider-Man fans, and they would probably lose their minds if it was like a different different path for symbiote Spider-Man coming. So who knows? We might not get it. And again, I for the sake of having some sort of continuity with Venom 2 to Morbius to Spider-Man No Way Home, maybe just don't include it at all.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows post?
Well, there's also one other thing that we haven't really discussed, that who knows if that's on the board or not. Sony's making a animated sequel to the Into the Spider-Verse movie.
That's true.
Which is probably the best Spider-Man movie that has come out so far, at least in my opinion. I think the movie's absolutely terrific. But it begs the question, do those characters count? Like, could we see a live action Miles Morales show up in No Way Home? Or
we know he exists, right?
Right.
So
right, because Donald Glover plays his uncle, who's the Prowler. So that the option is there. But then at that point, like, how many characters are going to be in this Spider-Man movie at this point? It's getting absurd.
Yeah, because I think it would be cool to see Spider-Gwen, but again, you're kind of rushing a lot of the story with live action, and I think that's where the animation of shows and movies make it a lot easier. The unfortunate thing about that is sometimes it doesn't tie into continuity or the canon from animation to live action, like it does with Star Wars, for example, right? So it stinks for fans, to some extent. I do think that there could be a possibility. I think it's up to Sony, right?
At the end of the day, it ultimately is up to them, because
they have
the rights to the character.
Yeah.
Your Billy Walsh is coming out.
Yeah, the suits.
As much as Feige might want to do something, if Sony says no, then the buck stops with them. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So it's definitely interesting. And No Way Home to me is like the question mark of all question marks, because there's been so many rumors that at this point are unsubstantiated.
All over the place.
Until they're confirmed, they're still rumor. You've got Andrew Garfield and reps for Tobey Maguire denying the fact that they're in the film. Tom Holland is saying they're not in the film. But then every major Hollywood publication is like, no, they're in the movie. Like, it's really tough to tell, and we don't know who the villain is. And there are some people saying that it's going to be Kraven the Hunter. There's some people saying that Willem Dafoe's Norman Osborn is the main villain of the movie. There's some people saying that it's a combination of like a Sinister Six type thing.
Right.
There's so many question marks right now, and I think that movie's kind of the pin that which Sony will spin its web to
Agreed.
Be very punny there.
Agreed.
For this new Spider-Man world, because I think after No Way Home, Tom Holland is contractually obligated to one more Marvel team-up movie, so like an Avengers style film, right? And then after that, he belongs to Sony.
Yeah.
they can do whatever they want with him. At that point, he can go see Venom. He can be part of Morbius, because obviously with Vulture being in the Morbius trailer, that means that Morbius takes place in Tom Holland's Spider-Man universe. So there's a lot to unpack there, and I am not envious of the folks at Sony that have to piece it all together and try to make something.
Cut deals. Yeah, I think with Tom Holland only having so few movies left with Marvel, that team up movie probably won't happen until Phase 5.
Yeah,
maybe
like that's probably like a
Phase
Secret
6.
Wars type thing, maybe.
Yeah, and I wonder, depending on what Feige already has in the books as far as like actual timeline, whether or not he's discussed that with the reps at Sony to again contractually negotiate something with Tom Holland. If they're like, hey, we're gonna need Spidey for something else in Phase 6 or Phase 7, or maybe after No Way Home, Sony's like, okay, so we're gonna release a Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland, but it's gonna be a Sony exclusive that is going to include the characters that we've released, like Venom, like Carnage, like Vulture, Morbius, and whomever else. Like I would love to see a solo movie with Kraven and Spider-Man, because Kraven was probably one of Spider-Man's like worst enemies to fight. So, and
that was the movie that John Watts, who's the director of No Way Home, said that he really wanted to direct, was the Kraven the Hunter movie.
Right.
And I feel like Sony stepped in and was like, no, we're going to do this wild, crazy multiverse thing instead. Yeah. And Marvel's way of saying sorry to John Watts for that was like, hey, you can direct the Fantastic Four movie after this.
Yeah.
That's fully under our control now.
Right. And I feel bad, not just for John Watts, but for fans, because I would love to see that. I'm sure a lot of other people would too. Cool so, am I excited for all 3 movies? Absolutely.
Sure.
Because I'm kind of curious, right? Like I want to see what they do. For Morbius' sake, you're going to get some pretty great acting from Jared Leto.
There's a good cast in that movie.
Yeah.
I forgot that the guy from Chernobyl is in there. I forgot that Matt Smith is in that movie.
Yep.
It's a pretty stacked up cast, and I'm the same thing with Venom. Tom Hardy is fantastic. Michelle Williams is great. Woody Harrelson's terrific. I mean, it's not like they got bad talent to come in and do these movies. I'm just
right. Yeah,
the studio is the thing that worries me the most.
Yep. It's the studio stepping in, because I don't want to see like more Warner Brothers crap.
Yeah.
With DC. So.
Oh, that's a whole nother mess.
Yeah. So I don't think Sony's and like anywhere near as a mess like Warner Brothers is. But
no, I don't
again,
think
so. plus you've got Andy Serkis directing.
Yeah.
Where
very competent human being.
Yes. Very well known in the industry, from voice actor to actor to director,
mocap, VFX,
mocap. So like he's well versed in the industry. So I'm out of the 3 between Venom 2, Morbius, and No Way Home, which one are you looking forward to the most?
I mean, the obvious answer is No Way Home, because it's an MCU movie.
Sure.
However, I am very, very, very intrigued by Let There Be Carnage, because I had thought going into this that they were like, okay, Andy Serkis is going to be the director. Woody Harrelson's going to be Carnage. I was like, okay, so maybe they're going to veer away from kind of the like silly stuff that happened in the first Venom movie. And then this trailer comes out and it was like, no, they've doubled down on the silliness, and Venom is making him breakfast and singing songs and like threatening to eat the lady at the little mini mart because the chocolate delivery didn't get there on time. It's like, what on earth is going on? So we'll see. It could be great. It could be terrible. I don't really know. And kind of the same thing with Morbius. It could be very good because of the talent that's involved. It could be very bad if it has a bad script. But I feel like the only one that is certain to be like a big success is No Way Home.
Yeah, agreed. So,
well, I don't know about you, but I'm more confused than I was when we started this video.
the more we talk about it, the more confused we get, because we really don't have any clue as to what Sony wants to do or will do. So
we are not scoopers. We are not journalists. We know nothing Jon Snow, and we don't want it.
And we only can see them in theater. So
that is true. That is the thing. The Venom trailer said in theaters only. No Way Home said in movie theaters only. So the days of day and date at home not happening for these films, but
slowly disappearing.
Yeah, hopefully life can get back to normal, and then we can just go to the movies and the crowds can go nuts together like they did for Endgame. So
agreed.
Cool. Well, let's wrap it up. Take this home. Guys, if you have any thoughts, if you're just as confused as we are as to how Sony's going to try to navigate their way through this universe, drop us a comment below and let us know. As always, like this video. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications so that way you don't miss any others. Be on the lookout. Like you said at the top of the video, we've got more Bad Batch coming, more Mythic Quest coming, Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead movie we're going to review, the MODOK show on Hulu. There's a whole ton of stuff coming from us in the future, so please stay tuned. And until next time, we will see you guys in the next video.